Hi, I had seen a video of Navarro of CNN, who she'd posted her calling Congresswoman Salazar of Florida. Um, Basically to beef about Trump. And I mean, it has to do with the deportees and that the Latinos have to unite and, denounce this deportation of people, da, da, da. And I mean, I'm fit to be tied. So, first, if Ana Navarro is really concerned about this issue, she wouldn't be pulling all of this stuff and getting into all of the issues which she brings up. She would be helping me. I've been trying to do this for 17 years. And in cases of deportation, immigration, expats, any kind of, I keep on explaining, anytime that you are involved, a foreigner is involved in a judicial or extrajudicial proceeding, the first thing they should do is go to their consulate, because the consulates do have an obligation. They are not assuming that obligation, but they do have a legal obligation to assist their citizens living abroad. I mean, even if it's immigrants, I mean, we're getting into some real gray areas, and this is why also all of these people with dual nationalities, they should be on board instead of just ignoring me all of these years, because there's this is a perfect storm, and this is the same stuff. I mean, my Global Expat project is modeled after the Federation of American Women's Clubs Overseas that was started in 1931 by Caroline Curtis Brown in London. And the objective was to defend citizenship rights of Americans abroad that were being denied. Now, this gets into important, this is 1931, it's just right after that you have the Nuremberg laws in Europe, in Germany, and where everybody's getting deported. I mean, this is what I keep on. One of the families that was very affected by this was the Sygart family of England. Marianne Sygart, she went to Cobham Hall, and her book, The Authority Gap, Why Women Are Not Taken Seriously and What We Can Do About It. Well, like Boggs is saying, well, if you all would act more seriously, then people would take you so more seriously. So here's a subject that you can act more seriously on. So Sygart, I mean, what's incredible with Sygart is it was her great grandfather. Rudy, it was Singer. These were Jews from Czechoslovakia. He had come to Austria, but he's kind of the Andrew Mellon in the in the financial situation in Austria at the time. And that gets into the Germany as well, Austria, Prussia, and the crash of 29. So, it's like, excuse me, Marianne, you have members of the family who helped set up that whole thing, because then there's other members as well who were in commerce. And then you had other branches later on that were literally exterminated. Everybody exterminated in the Holocaust, and some of them escaped. Three of them are, well, two of them are alive in Mexico. Celebrity, actresses. Oh, the world's been taken over by actresses and celebrity journalists like Ana Navarro. Nobody else can get a voice. These are our experts, but they know nothing about what they're talking about. Oh, Ana Navarro, she's Nicaraguan, but from a wealthy Nicaraguan family who escaped. This was political turmoil. When did they leave? I mean, let's see. She was born in 71 to a wealthy landowning agricultural family in Nicaragua. Moved to the States in 1980 because of political turmoil there. Yeah, I mean, this is also all of you people, you know, she's going off on about Salazar and from Cuba, how she escaped Cuba. She didn't escape Cuba. She was born in Miami. You know, the girl, I didn't put what year she was born, what year was is not here. You know, but like her parents came from Cuba. You know, like Castro came in 50, what was it, 59? Yeah, most of the kids these days, like, no, they have no idea what it was like to grow up under a dictatorship and flee and all of that stuff. And this is what's going on about Congresswoman Salazar. I mean, it's ludicrous, ludicrous. They just make up anything. So anyway, of course, Ana Navarro, she is from a, you know, not a wealthy family, but a well-to-do family. And they went to Miami, and she attended a private Catholic school there. Oh, okay. School. Need I go further? But I tried not to be biased against the Catholics, but you know, my mom, she did be on me, although she did teach me very well in the shame game. So I do know how to play that game with the ladies. And the double standards and the hypocrisy of the whole Catholic stuff. I mean, Ethel Kennedy and my mom are two little peas in a pod, as was Nancy Reagan and Mommy Dearest, Joan Crawford. I mean, and that's become the standard fare. I mean, Ana Navarro was going off about something about, you know, it didn't used to be like this. You know, people weren't like, what neighborhood were you living in? Who are you? Did you grow up with? Because everybody I knew, it was like when I read The Prince, Machiavelli, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's pretty much how things are run. It's very self-destructive. I mean, this is why we, you know, this is the thing. I mean, come on, this is another thing with the Latinos. We've got to unite. I lived while all of these women were building their careers. I was in Bogota working. I was a stay-at-home mom, trophy wife, but you know, definitely not hanging out the country clubs. In fact, that's why the Spanish Spanish expat wives, because my ex is with Banco Bilbao Vizcaya, which is Banco Ganadero there, and I in Bogota, American with a French nationality. Paradoxically, I'm a Spanish expat instead of American or French, technically. So, trailing spouse 2-1. So anyway, you know, one of the issues with the education reform, and you know, this is here, this is in Europe, it was the same. I mean, we were looking at this. It was Padre Nicolo, the integration of street kids and his schools there. And I went on a project to study that. And it was to research into educational systems and possible application. And the public education, of course, it never went anywhere because all of these, you know, we're going to get together and we're going to do this. And then none of these ladies will work together. Everybody wants to play queen for a day, but nobody wants to take the responsibility. So, you know, like, and then who's the one in 2016 who was going ballistic on how Sean Penn was bullied by the entire press when he came out with El Chapo Speaks? And what's the complicity? The Americans have to start looking at the complicity of, you know, the Americans' insatiable consumption of drugs to the production problem in the southern, you know, southern of their borders, and all of the people coming in from that violence and the poverty and all of the problems that it's creating there. In 1999, when the Americans came to it was at the embassy, they did a presentation at the embassy, American embassy in Bogota. about Plan Colombia and how they're going to do the spraying, but this is only going to hurt the cocoa plants, not going to hurt anybody else, not livestock, not water supply, not plants, not people. Yeah, I'm sure they said about Agent Orange as well. Um, so, you know, I go to the American Embassy. This is the American Women's Club people there. And I stand up at the end of the presentation and I said to the idiot from, I think it was a congressional member, I'm not sure if it was a State Department idiot or a congressional staffer idiot. But I stood up and I said, okay, this is all very well and good to get rid of drug production here and the violence and the problems that come with it. But as long as drug consumption is increasing in the United States, that getting rid of it here will just make it move elsewhere. So what is the American government doing to reduce the drug consumption in the United States? Because one of the reasons that I left in the 80s and sought greener pastures in Europe was because all of the party hardy, cocaine snorting of all the preppies and yuppies that I knew. And this is, the party hardy lifestyle, the Jeffrey Epstein, Trump, the Me Too women going after all of this was embraced. I mean, this is my problem with all of these feminists throwing up their arms and I mean, feminist, it's the lines are gray because I mean, Megyn Kelly, like, okay, what is she? It gets me in with the pronouns. You never know, like, we're all over the map with the labels and stuff, so you don't know where to call them. So anyway, I digress. So, I'm the only one who asked that question, and I get up and I ask. And so the civil servant, in all of his stupidity, he said, what do you care, lady, as long as we get rid of it here? I mean, it was just really took all my efforts to bite my tongue and say, well, that's the damn stupidest thing I've ever heard come out of the mouth of a civil servant. And I have heard doozies in my day. I mean, this, Doge, the government efficiency, we need to get rid of the waste of all of these stupid parties and DEI and the coaches and all of that stuff. And I'm sick and tired of everybody going, oh, they've been cut, they're not efficient, Well, what efficient? They weren't efficient to begin with. So I don't know how much worse we can get. So don't pull that one out because that one's not going to work. So yeah, there is some issue and it came perfect. Like the way Elon Musk attacked the problem was, let's go and find out where the money's being wasted, where this and that, and follow the money. Particularly, you follow the money and you'll follow the trail. And really that's what you need, because if you don't have the money, if you can't catch them with the booty in their hands, you really don't have much of a case against somebody. So you follow them with the money, you're going to catch them. So, that's what he did. That's how he attacked the problem, and it exposed a lot. There's still a lot to be done. Bobby Kennedy, somebody said, oh, well, you just fired a whole bunch of people and then you had to rehire some of them. And it was like, well, yeah, that's kind of how we do it. Yeah, like I'm well aware, and that's kind of like the Kennedy way, if you will, the Catholic Kennedy way, the new KKK, the Catholic Kennedy clan. But yeah, that's because you got a bunch of wacko HR feminists who have come in the past, decades, 40, 50 years. uh, and that's what, oh, well, let's just get rid of them and see where we needed some people to actually do some work, and then we'll bring them back. No, that's again, this is oh God, if I can get Jeanine Pirro to get these cases into the courts, we can demonstrate that this is, this is part of the problem is the HR people, and that's Kalpana Kochar, Mark Plant, are the names that I have from the IMF, Nadine Parks, of course, Adrian Papa and Gina Paoni, but that's just the beginning of the list. Um, I mean, the HR people absolutely bonkers. I keep on telling everybody, if you ever see an HR person coming at you with a work plan and an acronym, run the other way because the people are completely, the lefties are losing it. There's a woman from Australia who does a lefties losing it for Sky, I think it is. And this is the entire HR function. Lefty's losing it, as is Ms. Navarro. Oh, I mean, okay. So if she really wants to call the Congresswoman and tell people, call your congressperson. So what we need, and this is where the only part that I agree with her on this thing, is we need oversight. The legislative branch needs to start doing its job of oversight on the judicial branch, which means now Trump, he does have the power. I mean, everybody's like, oh, he's doing all of these things that before he couldn't do the executive, because the executive wasn't doing it because they weren't taking charge. Now, the issue is these people's rights have to be respected. They can't just waltz in and start grabbing people and pulling it. And I mean, she's coming off with all, they're grabbing mothers and fathers and dragging them through the streets, masked men. I mean, there's no proof. She's providing no proof, of any of this stuff. And she's making all of these claims, tons of them, where there's no proof. But there are, this is, and it was just like with the January 6th people that the Biden administration went after. There were just, violations of rights all over the place and lack of due process. That has to stop, whether it be for the right or the left, whoever. And that's where, when it's a dual national, we have there's an ace up the sleeve, if you will, in attacking this problem, and putting governments against each other to defend the rights of the people, instead of putting governments together to go ahead, you violate the rights of our people, and we'll violate the rights of yours and our own. And all of the people get their rights violated. And then they all scream and yell, and everybody gets more and more and more pissed off. No. So a government has an obligation to protect the rights of its citizens. It can, as all of these leftists are coming out and saying, you have to have a warrant. We have to go through proper legal procedures. Now, there's a lot of different cases involved here, and, we need to get rid of the terrorists once again. But this is something that's been going on since Guantanamo Bay. Where has everybody been since then, all of you lefties? Pretty much silent, blips and blobs every once in a while. Oh, Guantanamo, but, that was a thing with 9/11, but then kind of fizzled out. You just need a new, you always got to come up with some new thing instead of attacking the problems. So, yes, we do need the due process. So if there is violations of rights, the consulates do have an obligation. Notify the consulate, tell them you all, and throw them up against the wall. organize groups of your Nicaraguans. If this, go in front of the Nicaraguan embassy and start demonstrating in front of the consulates and the Nicaraguan embassies and all of the Latino, all of the South American countries. Go and tell your consulates, okay, yeah, we do not want, terrorists. We do not want criminals in our neighborhoods either. And we want to work with everybody because, do you want to be good American citizens? Are you just here to either subvert the Constitution and create problems, and you are terrorists and you do want to overthrow the government? Or are you here to participate in what should be a democracy? I'm trying to get the whites and on board on that one. However, just because the white Americans haven't been doing it, that does not excuse, as my mother would say when we were growing up, two wrongs do not make a right. Didn't agree with her often, but I did agree with her on that one. So just because it hadn't been a successful democracy in the past is no excuse. That's what we got to work for, because otherwise we're going to end up with another civil war and another world war. So, anybody who wants to continue on, this is how we're going to end up. This is where, and this is what I've seen with, particularly it was with Marianne Seigart's family, looking at the progression of the degradation of rights under the Nuremberg laws, because the Barbara Stone from Florida, who submitted with the International Criminal Court, is my understanding, some gray area there again, has studied the Nuremberg style laws that have been passed within the family court. Her case is the Guardian ad litem, but this is Florida. And now we have the opportunity, Ana Navarro, again, you want to really do something positive about this situation instead of just come up with all of this BS, is Marco Rubio is at the State Department. Now, he's Cuban as well. I have gone to the State Department because, of course, the consulate, in the case of the Americans abroad, when my case started in Spain, I went to the American consulate in Madrid. I also went to the French consulate because I have a French nationality, and they're getting thrown on the bus as well, and I want to see them in court. Same applies there. So let's get Marco Rubio on this. I mean, my Lord, Marco Rubio. Okay, I've got the State Department. I've been sending letters all the way to the Secretary of State. This starts under Hillary Clinton. So this goes back. So I got a whole packball of there that need to answer some questions, and everybody under them, particularly Under Secretary Kennedy. So let's get on to that. And then when Marco Rubio became senator in Florida, I contacted him with a constituent request saying, I want the State Department to start doing its job because I still have my kids in Spain. I still, you're complaining about all of these poor children, all of these poor mothers. What I've been doing, I've been in this game for 20 years almost, and there have been some 30, 40 years. I mean, Connie Valentine, she's passed away now. But, like this, all of these problems, all of a sudden it's happening in your backyard, and you're up in arms. And it's even worse than that, because I don't even think it's happening in your backyard. Near $1 million home. I mean, maybe you don't live on the island. What's the island's name where Julio Iglesias and all of those millionaires? Maybe you don't live on that island. But don't tell me you live in Hialeah or something like that. So maybe not even in your backyard, but in the Latino backyard, all of a sudden it's a problem. Now, once again, while you all are building your careers in the United States, I'm being the stay-at-home mom that now, all of a sudden it's like I have leprosy and I became a brain dead bimbo, which I didn't. I mean, Lord, if you should have seen everything that I was doing in Bogota. I was active in the community. If all of the little ladies in Washington were foreigners or Americans were as active in Washington in the communities in what's going on, not only amongst the upper crust, but also in the poorer communities, the educational system, what the frick's going on there? I was concerned and I was participating in, and that's what my whole Global Expats project is about, is having, immigrants, expats, whatever, okay, with the corporate and the diplomatic corps, you're dealing with the upper crust, but you particularly, have an ace up your sleeve dealing with those people. Now, they all just want to go and hang out in country clubs and go shopping. I know, and that's the problem, and that's another problem that needs to be addressed within, particularly the federal government, within the diplomatic corps. That's coming out of taxpayers' money. These people jet setting around. So again, I digress. But so here I am in Bogota, working, and I mean, okay, I only lived there for 6 years, so there's only so much I can do. But then again, the global expats, that's to develop the artisan projects. I mean, you complain, all the Latinos complain about how the United States has been interfering in their governments for decades and putting in dictatorships. That's true. They've been meddling in this all of the time. But no, we're just going to go to the United States and live the good life and forget about our countries and all of the problems that never get solved there. Excuse me. And this, this is another thing that, like, you could look into as a journalist, and people giving you everybody sticking a camera in your face. The reason I was there was because my ex-husband was the director of the Treasury Department of Banco Ganadero. Now he crashed and burned. Now, that's not the issue here. I would like to find out, and for the experts, so we can fix what's going on in the banking systems and the financial markets, because there's still a lot of, I'm sure many of the tricks of the trade everybody knows, but that needs to be looked into and addressed. It's not, there's too much regulation. Yeah, because instead of going in and hiring, firing, getting rid of the incompetent and the con artists, and putting in competent people, let's just make another law and another regulation. That's how everybody always deals with the problem. So yeah, we got all of this regulation and it's not working. Okay, so we get rid of the regulation, but you don't get rid of the people. And how, because the thing is, con artists, as soon as you put in a system or you put in a security system or a new system, they're going to figure out how to get around it. So that's what you got to get rid of, and you got to also stop teaching your people to be dishonest and lying. Inventing things like, I don't know, Otto does when she's talking about all of this stuff is one of them. I mean, misinformation, just inventing stuff off the top of their head is off, out of control. I mean, I love how people listen to her telephone call to Congressman Salazar, because she keeps on going on about how Salazar was in Cuba and had been persecuted and had to flee. This young woman, I mean, this woman cannot be more than 40 years. Oh, tops, tops. Oh gosh, if she listens to this, you definitely look like high 20s, 30. I mean, my Lord, for me, anybody 30 years old and younger is still a child. So now I know Navarro is a bit older than that, so she's no longer a child and should know better. Um, so what else did she, this was Trump derangement syndrome. She specifically made the phone call was not, you know, let's assure due process for the deportees. Let's, you know, address some of the issues. It was, you've got to get out there and denounce Trump, which of course she's not doing. And then, oh, this I love with the phone call when she threatens Congresswoman Salazar. You know, I, she says that she voted her into office. She said, I didn't vote you into office to do this. Now, I don't know if she voted her into office. That's also, and how could we prove it or disprove it? So, I didn't vote you into office. Now, she's such a Kamala Harris fanatic, as apparently she was. Like, why would she have voted for a Republican in Florida? Anyway, I didn't vote you into office to become a little puppet for Trump. Like, what, you're going to call up Congresswoman Salazar and now you're the celebrity, so you voted her into office, so now you're going to tell her what she's got to do. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, this is I hope this young woman in Australia Sky News she'll do a Lefty losing it on this one, because it's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah, I think those are kind of the things. Oh, stand up. This is marginalized communities. Congresswoman Salazar should, stand up against these inhumane actions against immigrants. Main action. Okay. Now, I have been denouncing, since Guantanamo Bay, and manhandling, even in the streets and stuff. There is definitely physical aggression and physical force that is being used, and torture, in Guantanamo Bay. That is, I mean, that is just unacceptable. And it's just, what's unacceptable is that nothing was ever really done about it, and it just fizzled and it sat there, and we move on to the next things like that. So yeah, that's out of control. That definitely, anybody who speaks up out about that, saying, okay, we do need to get rid of these immigrants. We do need to get rid of the terrorists. And if people deserve to be in prison, then they should be in prison for violent crimes or white collar crimes. But due process, and humane treatment throughout the entire process, which includes not just showing up at somebody's house in the middle of the night and coming in with a mask and a gun and whisking them off. I mean, you've got to have subpoenas. You got to have, that has to be done within the law, and the courts need to be cleaned up so that this stops being politicized and just a free-for-all, which has been going on for all too long. So yeah, she really pissed me off with that posting and her phone call to the like, this is what everybody should do. call your congresswoman, call Congresswoman. So she even said, I hope we burn the phones or something. I mean, I'm sure that was not meant literal like the Tesla cars, but burn the phones is, I mean, that's what I have been calling for. I keep on saying, my Lord, if everybody out there would start picking up the phone and calling their congressman and calling their congressman and inundating their emails, their inboxes with, you know, clean up the courts. We need due process, real issues, instead of a bunch of celebrities who, you know, either want some attention. Oh, like the Swedish, the Swedish woman. I think everybody across the globe has had a good laugh on that one. Um, and went to Israel, then was kidnapped by Israel. So anyway, you know, my God, it really, it is criminal what what these celebrities are doing, whether they're celebrity journalists, because I think, yeah, even Congresswoman Salazar, uh, she was a journalist. So, you know, excuse me, this I mean, this whole thing of celebrity, and then they get as another thing. You want to become a congresswoman or you congressman? Well, read the mail of your constituents and start serving your constituents instead of trying to get in the limelight. So there you go, Ana Navarro. Yeah, call your congresswoman, call your congressman, but not a la Ana Navarro. Have a nice day. Bye bye.